Hello everybody, it's Lucy Wolf here, sleep consultant and author of the Baby Sleep Solution. I hope that you're really well today. It will come as no surprise to you that I'm still talking about naps because of the volume of questions that came in around your daytime sleep. So there's about 4 videos this week on daytime sleep, so I guess if you are struggling with your daytime sleep, it's a good idea to maybe work through all of them to see if you can get some answers to the questions that you raised with me. This morning I'm just going to go through a couple of the little questions that came in, and maybe it will cover your issue as well. So the first little question that just comes up here is, what's better, getting them to sleep in their cot, which they've refused every time they've been put down, leading to overtiredness, or allowing them to sleep and being held? Again, that question is really vast because I don't know how old this baby is, and I guess daytime sleep and age, there's a huge relationship between those two items. I think cot refusal comes down to whether there is a sleep skill at bedtime or not. And again, that sleep skill may not become relevant until your baby is at least 6 months of age. If there is a sleep skill at bedtime and your baby's under 6 months, I feel that can be helped into the daytime, which would end up not having cot refusal. So again, if it's a thing that your child is routinely refusing the cot, I would definitely say use other ways to help them to sleep. But then I would suggest, based on their age, to either use the sleep shaping suggestions for the under 6 month category, or to use the sleep learning suggestions for the over 6 month category. And I guess if something's not working, I don't continue to do it. And again, in your case, that sounds like it's not working. But then let's have a look at why things don't work. Daytime sleep fails when the timing's not right, and the timing is overtiredness basically. So, well, not just overtiredness. So I suppose your nap could fail because your child is overtired. That's the primary cause, but it also could happen because they're not tired enough. And again, that's a real tricky dance, and that's where, let's say, we work within sleep cues, reading the language for sleep, which I've talked about here before, and or also working on a timing structure, which sometimes helps you to override the false cues that an overtired child may in fact give you. So another key reason for nap failure is when there's not a big enough preparation, so there's not a good enough wind down before the nap. So it's really important that you have a pre-sleep ritual before your nap happens in the bedroom that your nap is supposed to happen in, at least 10 minutes. And if you're doing 10 minutes and it's not working out, I would add another 5 or 10 minutes onto that. And again, trying to do that before your child is overtired and that they're relatively relaxed. And I think it's really important that your room is super dark for the nap, because we need the dark to help send the right messages to the brain. And that's really important. And for those of you who are worried about confusing day with night, once your baby is over than 8 to 10 weeks, you don't really need to worry about that massively. My hope would be that that is already sorted out. Plus, hormonally, your child is very unlikely to do a 10 or a 12-hour stint during the day, because hormonally their body will tell them this is just a nap rather than a nighttime sleep. However, if your baby is sleeping ages, I always wake to keep the feed in place, and I also wake based on your child's age and stage, as I've set out before. And it might be interesting to watch the video that I made ages and ages ago called Should You Wake Your Sleeping Baby? That might be helpful to some of you too. And then another key reason for naps not working is that the sleep skill doesn't exist at bedtime. And as a result of that ability not being there at bedtime, it's nearly impossible to get them to nap during the day, because that skill set at bedtime holds the cards into the skill into the daytime as well. So I have another little question here about if a baby has a cat nap for about 5 or 10 minutes after a feed, should we then count our wake window from the moment they wake up from the cat nap, or pretend like it didn't happen and count for the last proper nap? Well, actually, you need to count really from the cat nap, because sleep pressure has to build up on the brain post any sort of a sleep, which is often why people run into difficulties that, your baby has a kind of minor recharge on the boob or in the car or the buggy, and then they really struggle to go down at the time you feel they should be going down at. And again, because sleep pressure's got to build up enough. So again, if you have a cat nap, or a sleep cue, and you've had at least one nap already today, I let at least an hour and a half go by before I'd even attempt another nap, because again, like I said, I don't think the ability is there in that instance. Katie here, she says that her 6-month-old will only sleep if moving, and if moving stops, he wakes up. He sleeps fine in the cot all night. He wakes for one feed and sleeps for 12 hours. I guess, you know, first of all, he's a great little sleeper. At 6 months old, sleeping for 12 hours with just one feed. You will be the envy of a lot of parents here, Katie. However, I get you to think of the sleep in segments. So the segment of bedtime is one, the overnight segment is the other, early morning is another segment, and then naps exist as a separate entity. And each segment needs to be worked on individually. So although, let's say, he's probably a good, he's got a high sleep ability at bedtime, and of course overnight, because that is demonstrated by his ability to maintain his sleep overnight, you maybe need to help him learn how to do that during the day without motion. And again, look, it's a good little sign, but what it means is that if he has motion at the start of the sleep, it stands to reason he needs that motion to keep him asleep. Now, not all children are like that, but that's how he's presenting. So again, it may be a case of working on establishing naps in the cot. And again, I would get you to use my stay and support approach for that. I would tie it in with his age range. I would go in really small wake periods, really good bedtime routine, and then I would use my stay and support approach to help him achieve the nap in the cot. And what you'll tell me is that the nap in the cot then is really short compared to what he would do in the buggy. But over the course of a week to 10 days or a little bit more, your nap will actually start to extend in the cot, because he has that skill set. But what he needs to learn is how to do that in the cot and maintain it in the cot without consistently having motion. So there's a little bit of work involved in it, Katie, but like I said, you have a really good opportunity now to help him to do that. And I guess, although I love getting out for the walks, I think when you have to walk for the nap, it becomes more of a challenge. And again, that's a lot of walking. Because he needs 3 or 4 naps during the course of the day. I'll just do one more little question and then I must go and start my calls for the day. Let me just see. I'll just scoot along here and we'll see. Somebody here said the baby keeps waking up between 5 and 6. They soothe until 6 a.m. They eventually get up. He's exhausted early. Then only sleeps 30 or 40 minutes. So the first nap is over by 8:30 a.m. The day starts early, so everything starts early. There's a video on this actually called Early Wakes, Early Naps. And again, how do we work through it? So again, once everything is kind of working, and you're stuck with the early learning, as I call it, what it's a case of trying to do is trying to nudge the first nap later. So it's hard to do, but you maybe start with the rule that you've no naps before 8 a.m. and then by 5 minutes every day you start the nap process later, so that that first nap can be moved later, and in turn move everything down along. And it may be necessary at this stage, and it depends, Jojo, where you're at in the process, but it may be necessary to start to stitch, try to make the naps longer by using the nap extension approach, which means that in the middle of the nap, when your baby wakes under 45 minutes, I talked about this yesterday, that you would maybe try and use the stay and support approach to see can you extract a longer sleep from him. But again, you'd probably want to be at the pram at least 2 weeks or so, and the night is coming together and the skill at bedtime is improving all of the time. So I hope that's helpful. There's loads of information in my book, The Baby Sleep Solution, and loads of content here on my feed and in the IGTV. And there is also lots of content on my website, which is sleepmatters.ie. So it's always lovely to see you here, and I look forward to seeing you here again soon.